Hey, what's up, people? It's me again, and you are listening to another episode of the Ubiquitous podcast. As you know, I always have to introduce myself. I don't know why I keep having to tell you people who I am, but I am me. I am TeaRon. That is TeaRon, period. And today, this kind of happened on a whim. I'm excited about it, though. Every now and then, you find someone who you just know that you're going to have shit in common with, or you come across something that they've done. It's like, I got to fucking find out more about this. And that's what's happening here today. So this is going to be unofficially the photography episode. I'm going to kind of geek out with my boy here real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to, well, I'm going to let him actually introduce himself because I don't know what he wants to be called. No, all jokes. I want you to introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are as of today.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I go by Enyo now. Used to go by Augustine, used to go by AJ. I am a photographer, journalist, creative from New Jersey. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
First of all, what part of Jersey are you from?
That's a good question. I'm originally... So
everybody when they start that out, they're like, "Oh, that's a good question." Yeah. That means it's like, "Oh shit, hold on, wait, let me think about it."
Yeah, some things happen. So I was born in Newark, and when I was 2 years old, I actually went to live in Ghana for 4 years. It was me, my older sister, and my younger brother. After that, I moved back to Jersey. Lived in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and that's where I call my hometown. And then I moved to Barnegat, New Jersey, which is very Trumpish. So I've lived here longer than I lived in my hometown, but I don't really claim this area. So yeah, that's it.
It's so fucked up that you can actually describe a place, like use that nigga's name as like an adverb or and I know exactly what you mean. That's terrible. That's fucking terrible. Exactly. You said you lived in Ghana when you were a kid?
I did, yeah.
So are your people from there?
Yep. Everybody in my family's from Ghana as far as I know. So
how were you born here? Do you know that story?
Yeah, so my parents, so back in my parents' time, you didn't really have to fall in love, and like marriages were based more on
circumstance,
and circumstance. So my parents, they got together, right? And then they first moved to the UK, and then they moved to the US, and they moved to Newark. And yeah, had a bunch of kids, had 3 kids. So yeah, that's kind of how like my ties go as far as Ghana is concerned. Everybody in my family's from there, but even though I was born, here, I still always kind of felt like a strong connection to Ghana, and I'll talk more about that as we go along. So yeah, I'll let you go.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I like it.
Not to get too much into it, I'm trying to save something.
It's fine. We're gonna get into it. We can save a little Christmas for Christmas. It's all right. But no, so like, okay. So your parents ended up in the UK. A lot of people in the diaspora, a lot of people come from Africa and end up in the UK. I noticed. And then what I'm kind of sitting over here doing, because see, sometimes like when people are talking to me, my brain kind of goes to another direction. I'm just kind of like catching on to the conversation.
Yeah.
I've been pronouncing Newark incorrectly all my life. So I quietly in my head was like, "Oh, that's how you say that shit."
That's how you say it. It's
N-O-R-K.
That's how you say it. North.
Woo wee.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't giving you that at all.
Yeah, where are you from? I'm hearing an accent.
So I am See, that's hard for me to answer too, isn't it? Shit. But it's a bit easy, I guess. So I am from Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I currently am.
Okay.
I kind of been a little bit of everywhere, but that's like, where I was born and where I'm currently at. So yeah, I'm going to say shit wrong. And that's the gist of it.
All good. All good.
But yeah, you just taught me something and you didn't even know it. So sorry. Ain't Queen Latifah from there? Sorry, Queen.
We got a lot of legends from it.
A lot, yes, definitely a lot.
That's the thing about Jersey, like, we don't produce a lot, but we produce some great. We got that quality. So
definitely,
yeah.
So talk to me about seriously, I'll dial it back some.
Yeah.
But talk to me about your name change for real in terms of, because I was like, okay, I'm going to be talking to Augustine. Oh, okay, I'm going to be talking to AJ. So I got that trying to trim down. Then you're like, oh, no. So talk to me about your name change. Are you going to be like a symbol next? Like,
yeah, like it's very recent. It's definitely very recent. I think the process started once COVID hit. I think everything really started once COVID hit, because I just got in this state of mind where I'm watching every single institution fail, right? I'm watching government fail. I'm watching healthcare fail. I'm watching the news, and I know, like, they're literally just spitting propaganda right now. So I became very, like, jaded with the whole Western thing, right? So much to the point where I was just like, Augustine, it's a nice name and everything, but I just felt it was just very European, and I just, I didn't think I was in that place anymore. So that was in my mind. And then after COVID in April, I took a trip to Ghana, and as soon as I got out there, literally the first time I went to introduce myself, I said, call me Enyo. So that's just how it stuck. Now, Enyo, that's my African name. It's actually short for Enyonam, and Enyonam means God is good for me. So I shortened it to Enyo, and yeah, that's how and why I changed my name.
So it wasn't bestowed. I thought you were gonna be like, somebody like bestowed it upon me. But you was like, nah, you know what? So it's your ex. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I guess you could say that.
It's your ex. Because I often be like, I'll be feeling a way, because you know how it is with last names for African Americans.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, what does this even mean, or where's this from? It's some bullshit. But but I was like, you know what? I'll keep it, because I want to be able to at least keep up with what I know of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when I have children, so they can kind of be able to keep up with that. So that was really the only reason I was like, I'll whatever. But I'll be in my mind, I really be very much like TeaRon X.
Yeah. I'm curious if you've had, like, how close you've come to actually doing that. Like,
how close?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you how close. So I'm sitting in my room, going through it. And I'm just kidding. No, the closest I come, I actually got on the internet to see what the process was. That's the closest I came.
I got you. Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We get on the internet and be like, okay, let me see how much this shit costs. That's gonna make me decide whether I'm gonna do it or not. But really, a lot of people don't know that process, as far as name change stuff, is not really that complicated. In terms of, like, legally changing your name, it's really a fairly simple process depending on where you live. But, there's always issues with identity and stuff. Here's what I want to kind of ask you about, because it's popped into my head.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of veer off for a second, but it's still on track. So you kind of grew up, you knew where your people were from. You had direct ties to Ghana. Mm-hmm. You have, you even, like I said, you even decided, hey, I would know what I want my name to be, or know what I want to kind of be identified as. Yeah. And that's a big thing. Do you feel, growing up in Jersey, even though you knew where your people are from, do you feel more African American, or do you feel tied to African in terms of like how you're able to ID? Because a big thing that a lot of people, I haven't really had this conversation yet with anyone on this podcast, but a big thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that when you are a minority, whether you be African or whatever, when you're a minority from elsewhere and you know where you come from, you legit always have, I guess my question is, with you knowing where you come from, I noticed that people who have that distinction or have that knowledge or have that geographic knowledge, meaning I can go here and I know I have family here. You see it a lot of times, you know how like there was this whole narrative where they're like, oh, Mexican people are like the new black people in terms of bullshit that America can. But it's like, I was in my mind, I was always like, no, that's not the case, because being African American, you run into that issue where it's like, okay, wait, I can't go that far back, or I don't know where my people are from. I don't know what village. I don't know what town. Stop. So you kind of have that issue, whereas other people can, do that. But the reason I bring it up is because I find that people who are aware have this subconscious mind of an escape route.
Oh,
right. Now you let me know if I'm not, if I just kind of made this up, but there's always kind of this mindset of an escape route, meaning if the shit hits the fan, or when I get to a certain point, I can get up through. Whereas when you're a Black American, you don't have that at all. You don't have an area or a space where you can be like, let me get up through because I know I'm trying to go be with my peoples, or let me send money back home, or let me, you don't have that at all. Like, are you aware of that idea, or do you know if you've ever had that mindset? So with all at the beginning of the question was, I know I just kind of went on the whole thing. The beginning of the question was, with you technically being African American, based on your experiences and how you grew up,
right,
but knowing where you come from, do you feel that attachment, or do you kind of see it both ways?
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the whole escape route thing. When COVID hit, I really felt like, this country is literally insane. And I started talking to people about like, where would you go if America wasn't it for you anymore? And I did see a difference between African Americans and people with ties, in different parts of the world. What I noticed was African Americans, they did seem more reluctant to entertain the idea of living in another country. And it goes back to some of what you said earlier. I think that's just because there's no concept of another place to go. So, as far as myself personally, I've always, had those ties back home, but I only lived in Ghana for 4 years. Like that was from when I was 2 years old to when I was 6. I didn't really have that like visceral feeling like this is home. And I didn't visit Ghana. Like I visited for a little bit when in like 2005 or something like that, maybe like 2 weeks, but I'd been back since. So I didn't really have that sense of this is home. But coming back as an adult, man, like that's home for real,
How old are you now?
I'm 31. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually got like a whole different perspective. It's almost kind of like you got it in like, those different little chunks where it's like, okay, there's a kid, but it's kind of blurry. And then you had that midway point, and then this part where you're just like, I can actually afford to take myself. So
right. I got to stay for a whole month. It was amazing. Like experiencing it as an adult, definitely very different. And it's kind of like two things were happening at the same time. Like one, I'm experiencing it as an adult, but two, I also kind of felt like a kid, like, cause everything was brand new. So it was a very fulfilling experience, but I have like my adult sensibilities, but I'm still like just in a place of being in awe and like exploring. And I don't know, I feel like you don't really get to do that too much the older you get. So it was a very, very memorable trip. I'm glad I took it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Speaking of being old and traveling, listen, y'all, don't wait.
Don't
wait. Listen, there's this whole idea of I'm going to do this, go to school, work for this long, and I'm going to retire. You can't do shit when you 60 something and you got to try to take a flight overseas. You know how many times you got to piss?
That's the thing.
You can't even take a decent road trip. Like, no, go and try. Let me tell you. Oh, I'm so mad now. I'm just thinking about it. If you can absolutely afford and you have the means, or even if an opportunity comes up, go while your bones ain't aching and shit, while you can still kind of do shit.
The whole
40 hours. I had to get that off of me because that's bullshit.
I understand. Like, that's the smoothest con that I've ever heard of. They really fooled us into thinking it's normal to work 40 hours a week for 40 years and then enjoy your life when you're like 65.
KMA.
They got that one off.
That's both. And meanwhile, their kids are going on excursions at fucking 12. No, you can kiss mines.
There it is.
You can kiss mines. I'm sorry. I just got me mad thinking about it. But no. Speaking of, so going back, do you ever recall growing up having parents who are from the African continent? Do you ever recall being reminded of where you're from constantly? Because I know that happens. or B, do you ever recall hearing things that you had to unlearn in terms of how you got to know your peers or the ideas of what a Black American behaves like, etc. What I've kind of come into, and you probably have like blurred lines with that, but what I kind of like come across with having conversation with people is that the younger generations are, as the generations go on, those kind of things kind of loosen up quite a bit.
Right.
And so you have where if you were in, the 70s and 80s, you probably grew up in a neighborhood with, people who are from other countries, but you never really crossed paths. You never conversed truly. You never traded recipes. You never connected in that way because somebody told you something about somebody else and you just was like, yep, that's how they are. Did you ever kind of have those moments of where you had like a clash where it was like, damn, I'm conflicted because I am this, but I know you see where I'm going. You know what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's go there. Let's get deep.
It was growing up with this dual consciousness, or maybe it's even like a triple consciousness, because it's just like I had that early experience, with Ghana, but I'm from the States, lived in Jersey all my life. I'm trying to move to Philly, actually. Yeah, so it's like, it really comes down to like early on, I felt like I didn't really have anywhere that like I like belonged, like came from. Cause I'm just like, I'm Black, I'm African American, right? But to my Black friends, no, I was like an African dude. But to like Africans, it's just like I'm American. So I hope this answering your question, but like I've always kind of been in this in-between place with all the different groups that I interact with. And it even goes to class, because I grew up middle class, and that's a very different experience from somebody who either grows up wealthy or grows up in the working class. And I have friends from all over. So it's just like those experiences as well. Did I answer the question or?
No, I'm listening. I'm here. You definitely, you're in there.
Okay.
Don't worry about if you answer the question exactly like it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You just kind of let it take you where it will.
Okay. All right.
Here's when it comes to
real quick. Like, did you feel, what's your experience with that as far as navigating all that when you were younger?
So I know my people out front. No, just kidding. No, for me, let me tell you, and this is being straight up.
Uh-huh.
With me, I was, well, you don't know, I'm telling you.
Okay.
I was very much the class clown.
Yeah.
Or if I was in the hood, I was fighting, I was getting in trouble. I was kind of that kid.
Yeah.
I never went too far, but I was bad. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So, if you grew up in the 90s like I did, which I know you did, I'm just meaning in general, but anybody that grew up in that time, you knew if there was an African person in your neighborhood, especially in the hood, you probably heard this too. There was that whole fucking African booty scratcher joke.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, first of all,
honestly, you remind me of my boy Davi, because he was the class clown, right? He was mad light skinned. I took a look at your IG, and and he would come for me. We ended up, yeah. So it's something about you light skinned Negroes that just like to come for Africans for some reason.
Well, I'm very much a maple toasted pecan color.
Wow, bro. Everybody's like, everybody's.
But no, so like you had those ideas where it was really just being that young at the time. You have those those ideas or those jokes or whatever because you hear it somewhere else and you kind of repeat it. You do that kind of thing, and you didn't have that many. You didn't have that much access to other representations, right? Or you have older people around you that are like, they say, "Oh, don't go over there because of this," or you can't play with them because of just really dumb shit, honestly, right? I never had that. I'm just speaking in general.
Okay.
But for me, I was always more so, especially as I got older and I matured, I was always like, why don't I know other stuff? Or I remember being in like middle school and we start, like you start to choose like your electives, right? Those additional classes and stuff that you want to do. Mm-hmm. So they were like, oh, well, everybody has to do like a foreign language class, right? And so there was always like Spanish, of course. There was French. I think you could learn like German or something like that. And I remember asking, I was like, why can't we learn something else? Why are there no like African language courses, right?
Right.
And the teacher was just like, well, this is what we offer, and that's it. That was it. That was the end of it. But I always kind of had that in the back of my head. I was like, okay, why? I want to kind of learn stuff or speak like people that look like me, speak like, Yeah. And so that was always my experiences was always kind of more curious, but also never being able to be in a state like New York City or being like Newark or whatever. And you really, depending on where you are, the amount of like diversity you're going to run into per capita is going to be different. So while I did have people who identified or were acknowledged by myself as being from another African country or whatever, I never actually crossed those paths with them because you never actually spend that much time together in these areas. Right. So I was never able to really explore it. I was never able to do it beyond, in passing. You say a joke to another kid and it's just what it is. I remember even having one time I had a substitute teacher that was from Niger. Okay. Right. And
oh man.
When I tell you, listen, I'm telling you, number one, like I said, I was a class clown, but the substitute teacher's gonna get it.
Right.
So as I think about that, as I get older, I'm like, he probably was like, yo, fuck these badass kids.
Yeah.
Because we was very much like, where you from? Say this, shit like that, just dumb shit.
What grade was that?
I was in elementary at that point. Damn. So that would have been like 4th grade, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
So really, really dumb shit. But I know better now. Back then it was just like I said, pure ignorance because you never actually got to know anyone. And then I know that growing up, the lady that lived next door to us in the projects was a Korean lady, right?
Right.
And that was the most diverse that it ever got. And to the point where, she was really close. So she would like babysit us. Her and my mom would be out like hanging clothes on the line, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like as diverse as it had gotten for me.
Okay.
So I think part of that is really what kind of opened me up to kind of learning more about other people.
No, you really are from the South. Wait, so Kentucky, that's the South. So
yeah.
You're talking about hanging clothes on a line and stuff like that. That's a very different experience.
Is that all you took out of that shit?
Yeah, I heard you, but it's just like, Dang, it's the South. Speaking of the South, like I'm sure you've been hearing, Kwame Brown just destroying everybody, really. So what is a Geechee? Like, is that a term you're familiar with?
So, okay, I'm actually very familiar with it. So Geechee, okay, let me put it into a perspective that I know you'll be able to grasp, right?
Yeah.
So, growing up, there was like a whole era where we had like black sitcoms, right, or black shows.
Yeah.
So there was one show that we watched that we never really appreciated growing up, or we never really kind of gathered. We just watched it as kids.
Okay.
But it's called Gullah Gullah Island. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was my shit, first of all. So Gullah Gullah Island was based on a family who lived in the Charleston, South Carolina area, right?
Really?
So I also, my dad lives there, so I've kind of always visited Charleston all my life and kind of been back and forth kind of thing.
Okay.
So what you'll find there is you'll find that there are these Gullah Geechee people is what they call them, right? But a Geechee boy or a Geechee girl is gonna be very much Southern.
Okay.
Very much. Usually, they have those thick, Southern accents that you think of.
Right.
Not very much New Orleans, not very like bib, not those things, but very close to that.
Right.
But the unique thing about the Geechee people is that they have a community that is directly connected to, a lot of descendants of the slave trades. So when you go into, let's say you can go from like a port in Nigeria and kind of trek all the way over and end up in like the Charleston and, West Virginia kind of areas.
Yeah.
And the Carolinas and stuff. And you'll actually see, if you go nowadays, you kind of go through and like read plaques and do like the tours and museums and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a group of people who know that they came from that. Mm-hmm. And then also, if you ever been in like the Carolinas or you kind of start to get further down and you're getting closer to Florida, it's like swampland and shit, right?
Right.
So a lot of those people down there, they basically were descendants of slaves and they had to learn how to, work with the land that they had. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those people, it's just like a really close connection to the original languages. You ever hear stories or you hear people joking about when people can't say strawberry or street, or shrimps, shit like that. Yeah. Well, there's a direct connection with that. It's like, okay, you have slaves who are taken from Africa and there's a whole slave trade, we know, and you end up in a place like South Carolina.
Right.
And basically you're taking people from a native tongue or native language where that ST sound didn't exist. There's no st, right?
Okay.
So a lot of people, when they are learning to say those words, there's, screet, strawberry, scrimps. It's not necessarily them saying anything incorrectly. It's the fact that, no, that's not my tongue. That's not something I learned, right? So a lot of people make jokes that's like, oh, you're not speaking proper English or, all this shit. But you find if you go further into the South, because everything kind of starts at a coast and kind of goes backwards, right?
Okay.
So you find that people in the South, they had that lingo or they have that dialect. And it's really, it's a direct correlation to the fact that these people had to learn a new tongue that they were not familiar with. Right. So you don't get those ST sounds. Okay. But yeah, the Gullah Geechee people the Geechee is just now it's just used as a like slang term and to kind of identify a certain like kind of Southern dude.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But the Gullah Geechee people are an actual community of, so I know. That was the whole thing. Right?
No, thank you for explaining that, because he kept on saying, I'm a Geechee, right? And I'm just like, what is that? So okay,
yeah. So yeah, it's just a type of descendant or a type of person that kind of has a different twang. So yeah. You gotta be going history lessons and shit here in y'all.
Oh, my fault, man. Hey, wherever the conversation goes, right?
Right. So okay, so you said you visited Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
What, were you in Accra?
I was. I stayed in Accra most of the time, and I went with my parents. My
Nice.
I
So
guess
did you get to meet family there?
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and this was
I'm so
really
jealous.
my first time connecting with family. But my great grandfather passed away, on my stepfather's side. So we went to bury him, but at the time I was working as a full time photographer, so I was able to create my own schedule, and I decided,
That's a
what,
blessing.
I'm gonna stay for a month. Like so that's what I did. But yeah, I spent most of my time in Accra, and I give my mom a lot of credit because where she was going, there just wasn't a lot happening there. So she kind of just, had me stay at my aunt's house because, she knows I do photography, and she's just like, the people you need to meet, everything you need to do, it's in Accra. So I really, I'm grateful that she kind of had that foresight because,
What's you
yeah,
said so you stayed with your aunt while you were there?
stayed with my aunt, with my rich
What's
aunt,
your aunt's name?
Laurentia.
Laurentia?
Yeah.
Hey, Laurentia. This is TeaRon. I just want to say hey, so that you know that we're friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So that way,
She's a love family. She really is. She really is. But,
I
like,
try to make friends. I be
listen,
trying to build bridges and stuff. So I don't want to stay in a hotel.
listen, she has, I'm not even going to give all the business out, but,
Don't do it. We'll talk about it after the fact.
exactly. Right. Yeah.
But no, seriously, I still haven't made it to any African country. There's so many places I want to visit, so many countries I want to see. Work has kind of taken me around. That's been a blessing for me, but never been like, oh, we're gonna veer here and go down that. I'm like, so I'm gonna have to take myself.
I'm going back,
and I think
August, and I'm going back in December. So you should come.
You going this year?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. See what I'm saying? You going in August in what?
December. You need to come during December. That's the time to be there. That's when everybody comes back.
I have a whole thing I'm doing in September.
Okay.
But I'm legit, like, I'll be trying to get up through. Man, let me book one of these flights.
Bro, even if it's just for like a weekend or something. Like you need to come feel the energy, because like this was my cousin, Selassie. Shout out to DJ Selassie. This is what he was saying, like, it's so heavy living in the West. Like, you're constantly under psychological stress. You have to watch back from police, from racists, from the food. Like, so going to Ghana, it's really like just a recharge. And, you don't have to live there, but he was just like, it's worth coming just to like feel the energy and just recharge. So
I don't know. I'm moving. I'm up out of here. If I'm going, I'm looking at real estate.
and no,
I'm out of here.
As far as real estate, you could get so much more for even working like a 20-hour a week remote job, right? You can literally live on a compound with like a gated fence and a property manager. Like, you could live really well. So there's a lot of opportunity. I'm going to share a quick story. So while I was in Ghana, I decided to start a documentary series called Free Folk, right? And the first person I interviewed, she's a travel blogger. Her name is Candace. She's from Trenton, New Jersey, but she moved to Ghana 7 months ago, and just like he's been living there, right?
Yeah, I know Candace.
Oh, you know her?
No, I'm just playing.
Wow. I should have asked. So she would have been gassed that somebody knew her. But anyway, so she was talking about her process of like what she could afford and what it was like trying to find an apartment. And while it's like not the easiest thing to do, she lives well. She lives well, and she was somebody that moved from the States, to Ghana, just decided to do it. So there's already a lot of African Americans there. That's what surprised me about.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's already a lot of African Americans there, and they're making moves.
And they can add me to the motherfucking list,
bro.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
If
I'll get into that later. Never mind. I'll say some shit. All right.
Look, everybody's gonna be mad. They're gonna be like, "Oh no, y'all not gonna keep talking about every fucking thing off the air." Listen,
there's just a lot. There's just a lot to.
It's a lot of variables. It's a lot to take in. But I'm telling you, I'm probably already really on that wave with you because I've been looking, I've been researching for years now. Like I said, I started doing this podcast thing with a very clear intention.
Yeah,
and so at that point, I already knew. Of people, and I already kind of have relationships with people where I was really already kind of piecing shit together. So I've been doing it all this while in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I have it almost down to the very estate I want to live.
That's what's up. That's what I like to hear.
That's terrible, isn't it?
No, that's smart.
Because I'm aware that there are people, to tie this back, that there are people who have an escape route mentality.
Exactly.
And when I became aware of that, I was like, hold the fuck up. Y'all not leaving me.
Yeah. That's what it is.
So, it's definitely just the awareness. Being educated on a little bit kind of takes you a whole way. And I'm still kind of learning stuff all the time.
When did you become aware of the need for an escape route?
In like 2013.
Wow. Okay.
Very specifically, I started going to. We had this. It was just young Black people trying to like figure out a way to navigate in a space where there was a lot of opportunities for us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we started to put together this what we call an accountability group.
Yeah.
Right. And basically, it was young Black people ranging from like, early 20s to like, mid 30s.
Yeah.
And we come together weekly and everybody would kind of throw their goals on the table. And then everybody else would, kind of figure out, okay, I know this or I can do this. And this is how we're going to try and get you to the goal. So every time you went back to the group every week, you had to kind of show your progress, right? You had to kind of be like, okay, this is what I said I was going to do. This is kind of how far we got because everybody was basically assisting each other with getting to, to that point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the group didn't stay together when, we started kind of like finding an office space and getting money raised for it. And, when money comes in, shit kind of goes to the left. So it didn't last. And then the people who kind of headed it up were like, oh, we can't keep doing this. And they gave up. And so they went to Atlanta where there's more Black opportunity. And so it kind of just fell apart. But in doing that, I got to meet. Let me not say I got to meet people because I was already aware that, those other people were around, but I got to converse and share with people with different backgrounds than myself. But also when I was doing it, I was aware that the conversation was happening.
I see.
Right. So I was like, okay, so this is where you're from, or this is what okay, cool. Or this is what you believe in. So, you had different people, different religious aspects, whether they were LGBTQ or a Muslim, someone who, was from like, where are they from? I want to say like Sudan or whatever.
Right.
But, you had everybody kind of come together specifically to help each other with their goals, And so it was a really unique kind of concept, which I won't say that I forgot about it until just now. You got me kind of peeling shit back and like, oh yeah, that did happen. But that's when I really became aware. I was like, hold up, y'all be trying to get up through.
Yeah.
Or the idea of like sending money back home or building a home.
Yes, sir.
In your home country. I was like, hold up, nigga. Y'all ain't leaving me. Y'all not leaving me.
That's what my mom did. Like literally all these years she's been, her and my stepdad, they've been working and building a house back home. And now it's almost complete. So they're about to retire and then go enjoy their house.
You see how not fair that feels?
It doesn't have to be that way though.
It doesn't, but I'm being totally totally like transparent.
Yeah.
That it feels so fucking unfair.
Because
of kind of what we talked about earlier. The same thing is that being black, being an African American, you don't even begin to think that.
Yeah.
You don't even begin to piece that idea together that you can be somewhere else or exist somewhere else or live somewhere else or build a foundation for yourself elsewhere.
I hear you.
And it sucks because here's what happens. It happens in other cultures too. But of course, minorities get the brunt of it. You see this happening also with people who are from India, or you see this happening with people who are from Mexico, what have you. They do the same thing. They come, they do their thing, they get up through, right?
That's it.
And it's like, well, damn it. Can we just have Georgia shit? Like, fuck.
Yeah, dude. Like,
but a lot of people, that's their, not to cut you off, but there's a lot of people, that's their block. That's their mindset is that it's really fucking unfair. And I can empathize with that, even though I know better now.
Yeah.
I can empathize with that because I know that there are so many people who are well off or doing really great things and that they can kind of plant roots elsewhere, but they don't know that they can.
You're the first person that I've heard say it's unfair. And I really, I never considered that perspective before. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because what I've seen is a reluctance, but I know that's rooted in the fact that America keeps all Americans ignorant of what the world is actually like. And especially with African Americans, because of the history of enslavement, it's kind of like, all right, this is how I look at it, you know? And I guess like my perspective, maybe it's a little different, but I feel like deciding to just pack everything up and leave, for some people, it's like you're letting white people get away with what they did. You're letting, you're kind of taking an L. So Black people are very proud people. And if you tell them they can't do something, they're damn sure going to do it. So in this country where it's always been Black people can't do this, Black people can't do this, Black people are making sure that they prove that they can and they'll do it better than anybody else. But that just takes so much energy, you know, like, what are we trying to achieve equality with? Like, is the purpose of, you know, the revolution and the struggle to achieve equality with, you know, white male patriarchy? Like, so I'm glad that you're saying it's unfair, and I hope more people see it that way too. Like, I want to, but I don't know how, rather than, oh, I don't want to go there, or it's better in America. Like, if I'm gonna just be straight up, like, America's like a cave, right? And, you know, if you grew up in the cave, you know the rules, you know how to navigate the cave. But as soon as you step outside the cave, you realize that, like, the entire universe was always on the other end. And what you thought was the world was really just this small place with its own rules. So I'm just gonna stop. Let me stop. All right, I'm done.
No. It's definitely all good. Here's my take. What a lot of people don't realize, I'll get into my take in a second.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't realize is how young America is as a concept.
True.
Right? And America, you know, it's literally just a project. And what's so fucked up is that the very people who were running from, you know, a thing that they didn't want to do or that they didn't want to abide by, basically found quote unquote new land. And they did the very same thing that they were running from.
Yeah.
You see? So it's like you were running from the system as well and trying to create something new. And then you create a system based on the system that you was running from.
Yeah.
You dumb motherfucker, you.
Complete.
People don't realize that. I remember I was on tour and we were in Germany. I'm trying to remember what city.
Yeah.
I think we were in Cologne. And when we were there, and I'm honestly, it may not be Cologne, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to get it right. But it's like a town center, right? And in the town center, it's all modern. The shops, there's, malls, all this stuff, right? But in the middle of it, and somebody's going to correct me. Somebody's going to be like, actually, this is the city you're thinking of. But in the middle of it, there was a castle, meaning not a whole castle, but like, what do you call it? A tier? Okay. You see you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I got you.
But it was huge. It was huge. And it was like, basically the city kind of was built around this whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And you could tell this one piece of thing in the middle was very old, right? And everything around it kind of developed over time, but they kind of kept this old thing intact. And I was just I remember kind of walking through because I had some free time and we would just kind of go grab lunch kind of thing. And I was like, yo, America is young as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't realize that. It's really young. So when you go elsewhere, there's still a lot of, while America has some perks, okay? Mm-hmm. It has some luxuries. It has some things that I think, truthfully, as much as some people hate to hear it, I think truthfully there are some things that could benefit other countries that America gets right. But for the most part, when it comes down to human substance and like a system that is not equal, and all the shit, we can go on and on. Yeah. When it comes down to those fine qualities of the things that very much America was built on, that shit is incorrect, and they got it all wrong, and they got it fucked up.
Yeah,
right. And so a lot of people don't like, a lot of people get taught that certain places are like this, or certain places are like that, and it's really just because, like you said, America has blocked it,
right?
But
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was gonna say my take on the idea to really kind of put a tagline on it, or somebody can soundbite this, but it's basically, for me, if I was to go to Ghana and I was like, hey, Enyo, I got a ticket, nigga, let's go. Where you finna go, right? If I was to go, for me, it's gonna be more so like visiting, like you go into Disney World. You're going on a vacation. Yeah. It's going to be, you're going to have a good time while you're there.
But it's a business.
But it's a fucking vacation. You got to go home. Okay. Whereas for you, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go visit. I'm going to grandma's house.
I see.
And those are two totally different experiences, because when you go to grandma's house, you're going to eat good. There's going to be shelter. Yeah. You could stay longer if you want it. Uh-huh. Whereas a motherfucker that's the difference between the African American versus someone else, who has their ties, is that you just visiting. And then what's worse is that you're visiting, but when you go back home, you're going home to your adopted parents because you still don't even know who your people are.
Damn. Okay, so I'm glad you said that.
I'm falling out, bruh. I'm laughing and shit, but it's just the craziness of it all. Yeah. It's insane.
It is. And here's the thing. So it's like with Black people, right? Mm-hmm. Is there, or should there be a point where we decide that we can't get the past back, but we can act right now in terms of what's going to position us so that future generations don't have to go through, what we're going through. Cause it's just like, Black people, yeah, very, very deep roots and all that. But Black people, they're also like master creators. So we could literally just create our own culture now and just say, this is who we are. and then carry that forward. Because just like I said, it takes a lot of energy to try to make it in America, fight racism, overcome patriarchy, all that shit, right? It takes a lot of energy to always be looking back to the past, like, okay, this is where my people are from, this is where my people is from, stuff like that. And, once you find it, that's great. But another option is also like, people create cultures in the past, people created cultures all the time. So like, why not you? Why not now?
But you see, Enyo, we did that.
Okay.
We did that. We had a whole fucking moment where we did that. And then when we did that, we named that thing hip hop. Right?
Yeah.
That was hip hop was a whole thing before it became marketable, right?
Yeah.
So we basically created that. Here's the thing too. With Black Americans, you create your things, like you said, there's this creative spirit, there's this whole thing that happens. Right. But all of that shit is birthed out of struggle.
Bro.
Right?
Yes.
So that's where hip hop came from. Yeah. Every part of hip hop was like expressionism. Okay. I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna tell a story. And then that's when, gangsta rap and gangsta hip hop came in, right?
Yeah.
But when you see what happened with that.
When the capitalism,
so basically, when the capitalism came through,
right,
hip hop became so much of a thing.
Yeah. Hip hop.
But nowadays you look at it and it's like,
it's a direct.
It doesn't resemble us anymore like it used to,
because it
doesn't feel like it's ours anymore. They took it, and not only did they take it, you go anywhere in the world, you can see hip hop's influence on everybody.
Okay. So
everything.
So here it is, and that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was saying before. Like, Black people, we literally create the culture that runs the world, and like you said, we've been creating from a place of pain and trauma. So imagine what the world will be like, because the world consumes all our content. Imagine what the world will be like once Black people heal. Once we overcome the internalized trauma, that stems from slavery and Jim Crow and just living in America every day. So we have that type of power, but it's like, if we're always focusing our energy on fighting against instead of creating our solutions, it's the difference between going to a protest and packing up your family and moving to like a farm in Georgia and just saying, or those women who like build a whole community in like Georgia or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's two different types of energies, and I'm just like, I think we're at a point where we need to really look at our potential as creators and use that to just create an identity that can stand against racism without having to like, I don't know how to say it, like, without always having to like involve fighting against white people. Like, we just need to like focus on us. We're always reacting to what they're doing, but we need to like focus on us. So I'm not sure how I got to this point in the conversation, but yeah, there's a couple of thoughts that came to my mind while we're speaking. It's deep.
Here's
deep. Yeah.
Here's what.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not gonna let anybody get you. Because there's two ways to take this.
Yeah.
There's to take it like I just did. Where I'm like, okay, I see that, I got you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's that, and then there's the motherfucker that's like, but nah, nigga, no, because we deserve our peace, right?
Okay,
and there's that, right? So there's a lot of people that would understand where you come from, but would disagree with you in terms of packing up and leaving, because like you said, there's that mindset where it's like, no, I mean, that's one thing,
yeah,
but also it's like, nigga, where we gonna go? Because it's like when you go to elsewhere,
yeah.
First of all, these niggas is everywhere. White people are everywhere.
That's true. They're in Ghana.
They everywhere,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like, damn, shit, fuck. You can't even be in bumfuck Congo and get away from these motherfuckers. Golly, they're everywhere, right? So that's the first thing. You can't get away from these motherfuckers.
Okay.
And that's the first mindset,
right.
is that you're gonna go, you're gonna pick up, you're gonna go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. You see how many niggas moved up north.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole Jim Crow thing, motherfuckers was up out, they was getting up through, trying to build something new. And you see what the fuck happened with the Black Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
We know the stories. So it's like every time we try to do our own thing, white people are inherently nosy. This is a fact. This is, you know what? Sometimes they be like, white Americans, they are so detached from their, and this is another thing too. They're so detached from their cultural roots. A lot of white people should be just as mad as we are, because a lot of y'all had culture too that you don't even know of, but you're so...
And, some of them have some fly shit. Like, some of them actually do, but this in here, what?
Do you not know how many of y'all motherfuckers will be out here clogging and shit?
You'd rather wave a Trump flag and, like, Blue Lives Matter, like that,
you also got, you also have your disconnection. You know what I mean? Your great grandparents, you might know that your great grandparents were from Germany, or you might know that you have a Scottish bloodline, but you ain't got no ties to that, right? Because once you come over here and you're into this thing, you're no longer Jewish, you're no longer Italian. You're no longer those things. You're no longer those things. You're just white. Bro. But see, the difference is you get to be white and have the time of your life.
Yeah, man, you're saying a lot. You're saying a lot right now. Word.
But it don't work the other way. It's like, let us have our own shit. But there was only one man that came through and was like, "Yo, no, for real, we need our own shit." And you see what they did to him.
And that's the thing. Who was that?
Well, damn it. Honestly, you see what they did to the motherfucker that try to go with the flow too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. You can't win for losing. So, Malcolm was like,
he was. Yeah.
He was like, hey, if we protected that nigga, because I feel like there's 2 generations, or about 3 generations now, that dropped the ball. Okay. They dropped the ball for us because we was on the road. We should have our own corner of this shit right now.
Yeah.
That whole, I say from North Carolina, you carry your pen all the way over to like half of Texas. That should be our shit.
Yeah, it's like we tried 2 different approaches, and
they both didn't work because they ended up siding with Martin Luther King because he was less threatening.
Right.
And you see what they still did to him. So you got to think,
even
it's like
that, Marcus Garvey, he was trying to be on that, let's just go back. He was like, come on, like, let's just go.
And you see what they did.
They weren't trying to listen, but he might have, I'm not saying he might have been right, but I'm just saying, like, there's something to that. Like, I mean, don't you think we're spending an awful lot of energy, trying to fight against, like, white supremacy? Like, I don't know.
Here's my thing. I love who love me.
Okay.
And I fuck with who fuck with me.
Right.
But if you don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you. And we just that's what it is.
That's
right. But at the same time, I'm not gonna,
because going to country isn't easy.
I ain't no ass kisser.
Right.
I ain't no ass kisser. I ain't no bootlicker. I just ain't in me. I can't do it.
Right.
I can't go along to get along. I can't turn the other cheek. That's not my style.
Right.
So we better off not fucking with each other. I believe when you go for something, and this can be spiritual, this can be, whether a job, whatever. When you go for something and your eyes on the prize, you can be trying to find your spiritual path. You can be trying to get closer to God, whatever your religion is. And you can sit in the same room with the atheist and still find that piece of that thing that you are looking for, because that's what you're seeking out.
That's your
However, when you're just looking for the devil in the details, It seemed like that nigga's in every fucking stitch.
Yeah.
The niggas in every golly.
That's it. Like, yeah.
You're
I think
stressing me out, Enyo.
You really you really said it though. Like, you're touching on a lot of good points, and these are the types of conversations I love to have, and I'm glad that you have a platform that is doing this, because the conversation is dominated by fight against white supremacy, and it's just like, that's needed, that's valuable. Thank you to the ancestors, thank you to everybody who who fights for us, right? But we also need to be having several different conversations. And I feel like one conversation we haven't been having is all this worth it? Because here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every group that's in America now, besides Native Americans and Black people, at some point, their ancestors decided, I don't know everything that's going on over there, but I think I have to take a chance so that the next generation can be better.
Right.
So.
But here's what too.
Mm-hmm.
You, like you said, there's a lot of African Americans that are moving over to Ghana, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
I honestly think that there are a lot of well-to-do African Americans that don't know the magnitude of what them building roots in Ghana could do.
Yeah. And it's
right.
Just really quick. It's a thing where you don't want to spend too long thinking about it, because people are making.
Exactly.
I just want to say that. But sorry, continue.
But no, so but the same thing goes. It's like, you try to move up north,
mm-hmm.
them niggas everywhere. You try to, have your own neighborhood. They come tear that shit up. So it's like, okay, well, let me go over here and see what's up over here. Nigga, you do that, listen, you don't realize how American you are until you are not in America.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So imagine if there was a huge influx of African American people moving to African countries. Number one, there's that individualism. That's a very American trait.
Very American, yeah. Ego.
Because you lose that side of community a bit. Because they done stripped all our. They do that shit too. See, but no, you lose that side of community because you so focused on trying to get your own thing.
Yeah.
That individualism kind of comes out.
Right.
So it comes out in moments where you be in a situation where something comes up and you a little loud.
Yep.
And they looking at you like, nigga, you are loud.
Yo, I swear,
right?
I swear you've been to Ghana, because
I haven't, but I just know.
No, you really
I just know.
The first interview that I did when I was out there, the girl, Candace, she said that she went viral on Ghana Twitter like 3 times because she was cussing people out, and they're just like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, we don't do that."
Yeah.
So
yeah. And it's like that's the American. That's that defensive fucking posture that you have to hold all your fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah,
you literally growing up Black American is to always be in a defensive state. You're always in a corner. So anytime something comes up, you fight for your little scraps.
There it is.
You're not gonna let nobody treat you no kind of way. Customer service goes out the window in a lot of African countries. You not getting customer. That's one thing that a lot of African countries can work on. It's customer service.
Black businesses in general. Black businesses in general, like
yes.
No.
So but you go and you expect a certain thing,
yeah,
and you don't get that in another country, and you be like, hold on, wait, what? Not standing right here? That's a whole fucking issue. So it's like, well, damn, I'm over here,
right?
So it's like I'm over here, but I have to adhere and respect this culture too.
Yeah,
but it's not mine either.
But here's the thing, though.
See what I'm saying? So it's a whole thing. Everywhere you go is always going to be a fucking conflict.
But it's just what's better for the next generation. Because even if you don't adjust all the way, which, everybody that goes there loves it, right? But let's just say you don't adjust all the way. What about your kids who actually get to grow up in this country? So
right.
We gotta think generationally. I think that's one of the strongest factors here. Like, America preaches individualism, but
exactly,
the rest of the world, they they think more like collectivists, right? So China, and Asian countries, they're sending people to other countries to like go learn, establish this and that. And America doesn't have that strength because everything's about the individual. So
this is one thing I think. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but we just so in it. But this is what I think. This is one thing I throw in the air all the time. And people just don't be ready to have this motherfucking conversation. I don't understand. I don't understand for the life of me why, as a Black person, why are major higher education or higher learning institutions, why aren't they in an African country? Why are we not? Because you get this all the time. You get like, I'm going to Yale, I'm going to Harvard. They go to their HBCUs, which was founded by somebody that's white or owned by somebody that's white. So you ain't even really, that ain't yours either. But I'm just like, why can't we? Why are not our? Because you have a lot of African people who are excelling in the education realm in terms of just like, excelling, getting all kinds of accolades and shit. They come over here, they go to Harvard. Those people that's graduating from those fucking Ivy Leagues, most of the time they're either from an African country or they are of African descent directly, meaning their last name is Owolabi or something, right? So am I lying?
No, you're absolutely right. Statistically,
a lot of people who are getting those accolades are not us. And it's like, well, damn. But I'm like, why? It sucks to me that they think that they have to come to America or go to the UK or whatever to get a better education. It's like, why isn't our shit over there anyway?
I mean,
it sucks.
I feel like
I done got an attitude. You gotta get my pressure up this whole damn. We ain't it.
Well, I mean, but what would you rather be talking about though? Like we're talking about, the future of our.
I don't know.
Like this is, there's some good shit right here.
Oh man,
I think we really have to remember.
I need a fucking church fan or something.
African countries haven't been independent for that long, so
exactly
they went through a period where I think like my parents' generation and the generation before that, they were just like, let's go to these Western countries and let's have our kids, live there and see if we can like make a better life for ourselves. And I think the pendulum is swinging the other way now, where the kids,
it's gonna have to hurry up and fucking do it.
The kids are just like, all right, so thank you for taking me to this Western country and so I could learn all these skills, but I'm tired. I want to go back home. So it's just the pendulum swinging back the other way. Like, a lot of people getting these degrees are Nigerian because Nigerian states have a culture of excellence no matter what. But I've spoken to, a lot of these people and they're just like, I'm trying to build my own shit up, in my country. At least I can speak for Ghana. That's the energy that I sense everybody was on. They're not really beat for all this Western institutions anymore because we like literally the West showed its ass to the world. Donald Trump, he let everybody see just how ridiculous.
They've been showing their ass. He just pulled his pants all the way down.
Pulled all the way down. And everybody's just like, wait, why am I trying to achieve equality with that? I'm good.
Make no damn sense. It don't make no damn sense.
Right.
Let me tell you, I just want to say, and I'm sure you'll agree with this sentiment. People wonder why the Black Panther movement was so significant.
Right.
There's this gray area with that film that I want people to always be aware of, and that is that that's not our shit. Right? But here's how fucking dope we are. With that film, you got to see a lot of us come together. You got to hear so many different fucking. Here's the thing. You didn't even give a fuck that the sister is British and that Chadwick Boseman is American,
right?
And then everybody accents is all over the fucking place. You didn't give a fuck because the shit was you were so into that fucking world, right?
Right.
You were into like what it could be,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just using Wakanda as an example because Wakanda can be real, but what it's gonna take is for us to come together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's going to take, and it's not just some of us. It's literally going to take all of us because look what happened when we all came together on that shit.
I love that.
That motherfucking film, that character for that, that character for Marvel was a secondary character at best. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We was just so ready to see ourselves as a fucking superhero because it's a kid in you.
Right.
You grow up with your Supermans and your Spider-Mans and shit. So you a fan automatically. Batman's my motherfucker. But you didn't get you for real. Right? And so when that finally happened and it was a budget behind it, it wasn't like it just happened on some little, this is a joke kind of movie. It was treated with such care and really delivered in a way that was like, no, we really gonna spend some money. And so they did that. Mm-hmm. And it's just like that was us coming together.
Yeah.
And that was us. We blew that motherfucking movie out the motherfucking water, did we not?
I'm glad that
movie wasn't shit for real. It was just another superhero movie.
When I watch it, like, the fifth time I watched it, I was like, all right, this movie actually is not that great, but it was still great.
But it was that, it was that moment. Yeah. It was that moment that made it so significant. Mm-hmm. And from it's the symbolism of the thing that really got me is that that can be real for us, but we're going to have to really come together to do that.
I love what you said. Like you said, Wakanda can be real. And, I'm just like,
it can.
Besides the word, Wakanda, like it can be because it's just like,
we're gonna have to call it something else because, like I said, that ain't our shit. Some white man.
But and here's the thing. At first, I was just like, I wanted to say it is your shit, but you know what? I like the fact that you're saying this. It's not because
people need to realize that. People need to understand that even though we celebrated it and it's a whole big thing, Disney owned that.
Right.
Look, you go on the internet and look up the family and the people who are involved in the corporation that is Disney. Mm-hmm. It ain't us, nigga. It ain't our shit. It wasn't our shit when that character first was even created. It was created with us in mind.
Yeah.
With using with the Black Panther movie. And shout out to Stan motherfucking Lee.
He did it. Like, for him to come up with that character when he did is actually just really speaks how creative and how ahead of his time he was, because he created that character off the Black Panther movement. I'm just like, for a white Jewish guy to really have the sensibility to create, I just hats off to him.
Well, the story is with the X-Men that he created Magneto and Professor X,
right?
Based on the struggle between the Malcolm X supporters versus the Martin Luther King supporters.
Listen, that man was a genius. He was a genius.
Because when you think about it, really, that whole X-Men thing is really just it's a race story.
It's 100%.
You have the bad guys who are viewed as the bad guys. People who are just like, no, we should be out here too, right? But you have the good guys that are saying, no, we just gonna blend in. we just gonna blend in. We gonna go to school and.
You said race story, right?
That's what it is.
Okay, so let's talk about race real quick.
Have we not been talking about race?
We've been talking around race. We've been talking about things.
Have we not been talking about race?
Well, let's talk about race for a second. All right, so I'm gonna tell you.
Hold on, wait. Oh, wait, because this is good. This is good.
Okay,
this is definitely gonna be a two-parter.
Okay, cool.
So we're gonna in the middle of this right now, what we're gonna do is we're going, and I'm gonna cut what I'm saying right out. I'm gonna cut that out.
Yeah.
We're gonna segue. We're gonna let people know where they can find us. And shit like that, and then we'll pick right back up.
Okay, cool.
So all right, everybody. So we're gonna stop right here for a moment because I feel this race shit is about to be too good, too good. We gonna keep going. I appreciate Enyo for matching my energy and just kind of get my blood pressure up because I needed this. But I say all that to say this. This is gonna be a 2-part episode, so we'll be back next week. But before we go, Enyo, let the people know where they can find you, and then we'll sign out here in a second. Okay. So let them know where they can find you.
So you can find me on IG. Just type in Enyo, Enyo, and it should pop up. It says Enyo Creative Director. My website. So I have a lot of names. So the easiest way to find me is just on IG, and then from there you could go to my website, order some prints. I took a lot of dope photos while I was in Ghana, so you could order some wall art and stuff off my website. And I'm also dropping a docu-series called Free Folk. Just like I'm having a conversation with my bro TeaRon right now. I had conversations.
Y'all see how he said my name?
Hey. No, you said again, and we just met.
Ain't that terrible? See how?
Yeah, no. Could you actually remind me how to say it?
Oh, well, everybody knows me. They know who I am. They know I am TeaRon. That's TeaRon. Period.
My bad. Okay.
I'm just teasing.
Maybe we can edit that out.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. So, just like I'm talking with my bro TeaRon right here, right? I had a conversation with a lot of people from around the diaspora. I spoke to Ghanaians, and we were talking about this. We were talking about identity. We were talking about the future. So a lot of you're gonna like the Free Folk documentary. So I'm gonna drop that soon. And yeah, that's it. I don't really know how to end these things.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll make sure to include everything in the show notes, as you all know.
Okay.
And of course, you can always find myself on all social media at TeaRon World. That's TeaRon World. And then, of course, you can also follow the podcast, Ubiquitous Blacks. That's Ubiquitous Blacks on all social media. You go onto Google. This is what I challenge you to do. Because for some reason, these people still don't understand this word. This Ubiquitous Blacks. You type in Ubiquitous, even if you spell it wrong, I promise you, Google will be like, did you mean it? And then you just click on that. That's me. That's us. You'll find us. You can email us, ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com. You'll send that in. We have a special episode coming up that is going to be all listener mail questions and shit. So send that shit in so we can do it. If you're on Apple, Spotify, you have it. You name it. Follow us on there. If you're on Apple specifically, go ahead and leave a review. Now, if you leave a review, I keep telling y'all, don't leave nothing less than 5 stars. If you feel like you might leave 4 stars, just don't. I mean, that's fine by me. Just keep, scroll on to something else. Golly, goodness gracious. But no, as always, I appreciate you. Whether you are black in Nova Scotia
or black in Jersey,
remember this. We are black everywhere. Okay, everybody. So if you've been keeping up with me so far, I want to say thank you because I know it's a lot, but these conversations need to be had. Enyo brought out a side of me that rarely is seen, and I appreciate him for that because this was such a wonderful conversation, and the conversation continues in part 2. So next week, join myself and my guest Enyo for part 2. And of course, you know where to find us. You can find us at Ubiquitous Blacks all over social media. I am TeaRon. That's TeaRon World, at TeaRon World on social media. And then also leave us a rating, a review, follow us, the huge 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Can't say that enough. Love you and see you next week.